guys. Okay, I'm back. And I'm coming back because I told you I might be back, but I'm coming back because I forgot to read an insert or an example of delayed obedience. Now, this is, I guess, will be part two of the first word I did tonight. Not the last word before this, but the word before that. The delayed obedience or delayed disobedience or something word. So this is the example that the Strong's Concordance gave with the number about delayed, about number 306, meaning delay. It gives the example of delayed obedience coming from Jonah chapter 1, verse 3. And it reads, "But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed to Tarshish. He went to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. Then the Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up." Okay, let me read that again. Then the Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm that the ship threatened to break up. Okay? All the sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his own God. And they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. But Jonah had gone below deck, and where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. Okay? The captain went to him and said, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us so that we will not perish." Then the sailors said to each other, "Come, let us cast lots to find out who's responsible for this calamity." They cast lots, and the lots fell on Jonah. So they're basically trying to see what the reason for all this calamity was going on with the boat. And it showed that the problem was Jonah. It says, "So they asked him, 'Tell us, who was responsible for making all this trouble for us? What kind of work do you do? Where do you come from? What is your country? What people are you?' He answered, 'I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land.' This terrified them, and they asked, 'What have you done?' They knew he was running away from the Lord because he had already told them so." So he must have already told them that he was running from the Lord. I don't remember that. Maybe we need to go back to John 1 and Jonah 1 and find out when he said that. The sea was getting rougher and rougher. So they asked him, "What should we do to you to make the sea calm down for us?" He said, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea," he replied, "and it will be calm, and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that this great storm has come upon you." Instead, the men did their best to row back to the land, but they could not, for the sea grew even wilder than before. So they tried to find other ways of not tossing him off the boat. They tried to find other things to pacify God. They tried to do other things that would stop this calamity, that was happening against the boat. But it didn't work. Then they cried out to the Lord, "Please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man, for you, Lord, have done as you pleased." So remember, they in the beginning was all praying to their own God, lowercase g. They said, "Hurry up, everybody. Pray to your own God so that way this boat can stop rocking. That way this boat can cease, and we can stop having wind and this calamity on this boat." They're like, "Hurry up, everybody, pray to your own God." They said Jonah was at the bottom of the boat, chilling, sleep. Right? He was chilling, he was asleep. And they went down there, one person went down there and was like, "Yo, how can you sleep with all of this going on? Like, pray to your God. Like, we're praying to our gods, pray to your God too, to see if we can stop or see what's going on." Right? So they go from telling everybody to pray to their own God to now they all cried out to the Lord. And it says, "Lord, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. Okay? This turnaround, this restoration is not just for you, not just for your God ordained spouse, but for people around, people to witness that our God is the one true living God. That's how some of these people are going to get saved by this restoration, by our restoration, by our God ordained spouses restoration, by our godly unions, by our marriages, right? They wasn't even messing with the Lord thy God. They was worshiping false little lowercase g gods. Anyway, so it says, then they cry out to the Lord, please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man for you. Lord, have done as you pleased. So they're like, okay, we're going to throw him over the boat because nothing else is working. We don't want to do this. Please don't hold us accountable because we're doing this because you telling us to do this. Right? It says, then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm. At this, the men greatly feared the Lord. See? People are going to know God just because of this restoration. That has nothing to do with them. Just because they see how great and good and mighty God really is. Like, this is going to save more people than you actually know. People you don't, quote unquote, even know. People just onlookers, just spectators. They're like, okay, that God must be real over there, right? That God that Janisha worship must be for real. Right? Okay. It says, at this, the men greatly feared the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows to him. Now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly for 3 days and 3 nights. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. He said, in my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry. You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The engulfing waters threatened me. The deep surrounded me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. Okay. To the roots of the mountains I sank down. The earth beneath barred me in forever. But you, Lord, my God, sit down for you fall. It's not funny. Snatched me from the jaws of death. When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols turn away from God's love for them. But I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will make good. I will say salvation comes from the Lord. So we already talked about vows too. We've been talking about vows and the oath. So not only they're gonna come to this revelation and repentance with the Lord thy God, but now they're going to make good on the promises, make good on the vow that they were supposed to make good on before, that oath, coming back into the fold, coming back into an alignment. But I say all this to say, this was an example of delayed obedience. Jonah ended up being obedient. Like I said in the previous word, in the part 1 of this word. Can you stop? Like I said in the part 1 of this word, this is part 2. They're going to do what God is instructing them to do, right? It's just a matter of the timing. Okay, if they are delayed in what they're doing, there's going to be consequences for that delayed obedience. But the obedience is still going to take place. So I named the first title, delayed obedience is still disobedience. However, God's will is what's going to be determined. God's will is what's going to be the outcome. So our fear is not that, oh, they're still not going to do what God's telling them to do. Our fear is not, oh, they're going to do what they want. Our fear is not they're going to take so long with making this decision. Our fear is not they're going to take forever turning around. No, they're not. But the little delay that they do, they will have to pay for. Okay? God's will either way is going to come to pass. God's will is going to be what's determined. God's will is going to what's going to happen in the end. Okay? And we already seen that so quick. There's going to be divine reversal so quick that it's going to go to the earnest expectation of the word I just gave after this part 1. So I did part 1 of this. This is part 2. But in between part 1 and part 2, there's the divine reversal. So they're going to go from delayed obedience or delayed decisions to quick, a sense of urgency, okay? A running towards God's will, okay? Doing what needs to be done. The Lord gave Jonah an instruction to go to the people. He decided to run the other way. And God said, And anybody who tries to help you run away, anybody who tries to take you from my will, they're going to pay for it as well. Until you're back in alignment. Those people were fearing for their own gods, crying for their own gods, troubled by the winds and the storm and the seas and the wind and the calamity, all because of Jonah. So people who have taken your God-ordained spouse or entertaining them or trying to keep them from the will of God, just how the people with Jonah, harboring Jonah in this boat, they had to pay for that. But Jonah gonna get where he need to go regardless. Jonah gonna get where he need to go regardless, okay? But anybody trying to help Jonah escape, anybody trying to encourage Jonah to escape, anybody trying to manipulate Jonah to escape, they gonna have to repent too. Because judgment will be on them as well. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. I hope this is all I have to release tonight. But if he tell me to come back, I'm gonna come on back. Okay? All right. Yeah, have a good night. Go read Jonah.